Happy Monday. Today is Monday, July 6th. I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend. Got out and were able to at least enjoy the outdoors. Maybe shoot off some fireworks. Today's daily Bible readings for Monday, July 6, 2020 are Song of Solomon 2, 8 through 13, Genesis 27, 30 through 46, Romans 1, 8 through 25, or you could have read Psalm 131 and Jeremiah 27, 1 through 11, and then 16 through 22. Today, I'm going to look at Genesis 27, 30 through 46, and the story of Jacob and Esau. And the daily Bible reading from the lectionary has kind of been following along this story for quite some time. And, you know, Jacob and Esau are these famous brothers that we read about in the Old Testament. Jacob is one of the patriarchs. They have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob actually gets his name changed, but I don't want to tell you that because it ruined the story for you. But anyway, Jacob and Esau, they were always in contention with one another, and it starts from their birth. One of the texts from last week, or it may actually been this weekend, talks about their birth as twins, and Esau was born first, but Jacob, it said, grabbed a hold of his heel. He was the heel grabber, and he grabbed a hold of his heel as his brother was being born. You know, that's just kind of this, you know, striving, trying to be the first. These are also the brothers. If it sounds familiar, the story of Esau was this guy who was a hunter. He really liked being outdoors. You know, he was always at, you know, like Sportsman's Warehouse buying up stuff to go outside. And then he was coming back in from the field one day, and says he was really, really famished, and he was really, really hungry. And his brother Jacob, who kind of was a guy that hung around the house more, you know, did stuff around the house, took, you know, care of stuff that needed to be done, took care of his parents, was, you know, sitting around the fire cooking dinner for everybody. And Esau comes back and is like, "Hey, give me some of that red stuff in the pot." And, you know, Jacob's like, "What do you give me for it?" And Esau, you know, just kind of flippantly, you know, offers him his birthright. It's Jacob's idea, and Esau's like, "Yeah, what good is it to me anyway if I die of starvation? Give me that stew." So that's the kind of guy that Jacob was, the kind of guy that Esau was. Jacob was always looking for an opportunity, and Esau just probably didn't really think things through well enough. You know, are you willing really to bargain your birthright away, you know, for a pot of stew? But that kind of comes back to haunt him, and that's the story that we get here today, because as their father Isaac was, you know, kind of lay dying and was towards the end of his life, that's the point of time in, you know, their culture when you would pass on, you would name your heir, right? The person who would inherit all your household, all the responsibility, all the fortune thereof. And you would name your heir, and you would do this by giving them a blessing, right? And so Jacob and his mom come up with this really kind of tricky plan to disguise Jacob as his big brother Esau, and sends him in with the food that Isaac had asked Esau to go out and get, you know, because Isaac liked his son Esau, and he knew he was a hunter, and he asked him, he's like, "Hey, you know, I'm not going to be here much longer. Do me a favor. Go out and get me, you know, go out and shoot an animal and come back and cook it up for me and make me one of those, you know, barbecues that you're so good at." And Jacob and Esau's mom hears this, and while he goes out one door to go out hunting, you know, she gets Jacob, and she's like, "Here, we're going to dress you up. I'm going to cook something that he likes. I know exactly what he's asking for, so I'll cook that up, and we're going to send you in with it, and we're going to trick him." And now, you know, suspend your disbelief. The story works out, and he wraps himself in goat hair and smells like the outdoors and feels like Esau. And so Isaac, apparently, because his eyes are bad and old, he falls for it. And Esau comes back from the field with the animal, cooks it up, and brings it in and says, "Father, I brought you the dish that you wanted so well." And Isaac's like, "What?" And it's like, "Oh, then who was that I just blessed?" And the whole thing comes to a head, right? Esau finds out that Jacob's already been there. Jacob tricked his father. Jacob got the blessing, has been named heir to the household. And Esau's response is, there's nothing left for me. Have you only one blessing, father? And it's just a bad day. And then, when he finds out, he's not happy about it. And his attitude from there is must kill Jacob. And their mom gets wind of this, and Rebecca, their mom, says to Jacob, hey, you better get the heck out of Dodge because your brother's really, really ticked and he's coming after you. And it's interesting because the translation here that I'm using today, that I've used pretty much all the time for this, is the New Revised Standard Version. And what caught my attention is that the sentence there says, your brother is consoling himself by planning to kill you. How messed up is that? But it's not really, any more messed up, I guess, than the rest of us. And it's just human nature. But the idea that you can console yourself in the face of this loss and perceived injustice towards you, because, Esau wasn't just innocent in this. It wasn't like, he didn't just, earlier just like throw away his birthright for a pot of stew. But to console yourself with thoughts of murder, and Rebecca's advice to Jacob is run away until he forgets, right? Just go to my brother Laban's house, hang out there until your brother forgets. Now, that's an ongoing story, and I won't ruin it for you. I don't want to give you any spoilers. You could go read it yourself. But run away until he forgets. The problem is, though, it pretty much strikes home. We as human beings, we fall back on this consolation of violence all the time when we feel like we've been wronged or we've been dishonored or we've been disowned. And we fall back into this consoling ourselves through violence. It seems impossible. It seems like ridiculousness, and it seems like overkill in this story. But it's in the story because that's a big problem and a big part of who we are, that we fall back to violence really easily when things don't go our way. So as you go out throughout the day, think about Jacob and Esau. Think about how readily they were willing to just grasp and push and shove each other out of the way to get what they wanted. And think about how easily we can just fall back on consoling ourselves with violence, and what small consolation that is when things don't go our way. Well, that's Daily Bible Reading for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day. Boop.